5, 6, 7, 8. It's a mess. Oh, it's a mess.
Hello, everybody, and
Oh, it's a
welcome to the
mess.
podcast. It's a mess,
Oh, it's a
sis. So, what
mess.
exactly is a mess?
Oh,
A
it's a
mess is a
mess.
situation or a state of
Oh,
affairs
it's a
that is
mess.
confused or full of difficulties.
Oh, it's a
The
mess.
mess is when things don't
Oh,
go the
it's
way
a
you plan.
mess.
It is when you have to go off script,
5,
improvise,
6,
ad
7.
lib, sit through the
It's a
awkwardness,
mess.
and breathe through the pain until you
Oh, it's
come
a
out on the other
mess.
side. Because you will come out
It's a
on the other
mess.
side. It is everything that makes
Oh, it's
life
a
interesting
mess.
and transformative. It is
Oh,
what
it's
we
a
are here to do.
mess.
It is how we learn
Oh,
how
it's a
to be.
mess.
So, join us as we
Oh, it's a
dive into this
mess.
week's mess.
Oh, it's a mess. Oh.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to this week's episode. I'm Jessica, co host on my favorite podcast. I am a writer, a singer, and an overall tough ass weirdo. A millennial woman living in LA and figuring this shit out. I've had plenty of strategies about how things would go, but my life had other plans. So I'm wading through this mess with y'all, one thought provoking topic at a time.
And I'm Rena. I am your other host. I am a licensed social worker by trade and a writer, musician, film and tech enthusiast, artist, truth seeker, and overall creative director slash producer by passion. I'm repping the East Coast. I'm a DMV native, born in DC, and I now reside in Baltimore.
Lovely.
Wow.
This week's episode is called There is Something About Joy. And I am really looking forward to diving into this thing. But before we do, I want to ask Rena, what is the mess that you've been dealing with since last episode?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I think I've been dealing with the mess that everybody's been dealing with. And I think that's why we're so enthusiastic to do this episode. It's just a lot going on. There's a lot of energy out there. You know, there's a lot of people showing who they are, and you're just trying to figure. I'm just trying to figure out what to do with all this energy.
Yeah.
To find my place in it, to protect myself from it, to kind of gauge how much I need to give. Just being really mindful of what I'm absorbing and how I feel.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that's pretty much the mess I've been dealing with. So I'm just sorting through me, sitting through this, like I said, and realizing that, it can get better and just trying to figure out how I can contribute to it getting better.
Yeah. That's dope.
What about you?
I feel like basically the same thing. Just recognizing the trauma that this is and sitting with that and understanding that I may not show up in ways that I felt like I would show up. I may not
Mm,
be who I thought I would be in these moments. I may not be as strong as I thought I was going to be. There's a lot of things that I'm having to sit through and work through and recognize. And I think, like you were saying, that's one of the reasons for this episode is just recognizing that taking on all the trauma and taking on all of the pain and all of the anger, it leaves no room for the other side, which is joy, which is happiness, which is peace, which is all these other things that are more light. But it's just a bombardment of all the negative and all the wrong and all the hurt and all the pain and all the shame and all these things. And in these last couple of weeks, I have just been overwhelmed. There's so many days where I haven't felt like even speaking to anyone because my anxiety is through the roof. I'm agitated, I'm irritated, I'm aggravated, all these things. And just coming to the place where I recognize that I do not need to find a balancing agent. And I do think that's joy. And I think that's, kind of what we're getting into this topic.
right, I feel it. I feel it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess we're gonna get into the show or the episode, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a format. Um, for those who are aware, bear with us. It's called the DIC. It stands for D define, I impact, and C cope. So in this episode, how we're going to dig it down is that we're going to define what joy is.
Mhm.
And then we're going to discuss why we need joy and the
Mhm.
impact joy has on our lives or can have on our lives. And lastly, we end things out with discussing how we cope with the need for joy and creating joy for ourselves.
Yes.
So, all
Yeah.
right. So I'm going to start things off.
Okay.
Right here we define. So right now we're defining joy. My
Mhm.
definition of joy is pretty simple. Joy is love. It
Yeah.
is loving yourself without conditions, no matter what is going on externally.
Wow, I like that. Okay. Well, for me, the definition, I kept it pretty simple too. And I used Google. Y'all know my favorite. Joy, according to Google, is a feeling of great pleasure and happiness. I thought that was pretty simple. And for me personally, joy feels like the sun on my skin and the small hairs on my neck raising in excitement. It feels like the wind blowing through my hair and memories of family road trips and looking forward to future trips around the globe. So for me, joy is a feeling. And I mean, that's for everyone, but joy means feeling all of these things, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I vibe with that. I vibe with
Yeah.
that. That
Yeah.
was well put.
Thank you. I try. I be trying a little bit.
Mhm.
Okay, so for you, how does joy impact? What is the joy, or what is your definition of joy? How does that impact you?
I mean, based off of my definition, I need joy,
Mm-hmm.
because if I don't have joy, then what is all of this for?
Yeah.
Why do I exist? I can't really think of any other reason why I exist if it's not to master myself, find love for myself, and cause that to give me a feeling of joy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I acknowledge that things happen, they don't go according to plan, and it's painful. But I feel like that's all a part of the lesson. And that lesson
Yeah.
is, you know, growth, evolution, raised frequencies and vibrations and joy. What else am I doing any of this for if it is not joy?
Mm-hmm.
So, I feel like without joy, life is just a cruel punishment, with
Wow.
no reason, with no purpose.
Yeah.
And I believe life is so much more than that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's really incredible. I like it. I think I think for me, joy has actually been like life saving. Um,
Okay.
the impact is that it has saved my life. I've had a bunch of tragedies in my life, like so many. But in those moments when life feels like the darkest, I've had memories of joyful experiences pull me out of that cavern of
Mm,
just overwhelming darkness and despair. I know, for instance, like when I first lost my mom, I didn't know how I would actually continue in this life. Like it just felt like an insurmountable feat. I just felt overwhelmed by the idea that this was the end of our connection that I've known in this way. Um, but when my brothers and I came together and we reminisced on so many of like the really incredible, joyful moments that we actually had with our mom, it was the anchor that held me to this place. It was the first. It wasn't the first time that something like that had happened where I used joy to ground me to a lighter place or a safer space, and it won't be the last. I often find that when I'm in utter despair or I'm feeling utter despair, that knowing that I can create joy again often keeps me from the edge and it reels me back in. So I feel like joy is a safety and a necessity. I feel like it allows me to continue on another day, even on a day where things are the roughest, the darkest, the toughest. I feel like knowing that I've had joy, being able
mm,
to sit in those memories and feel the lightness of them, feeling the joy of them, the love in them, helps me, to move forward again. And also knowing that I can create that again helps to balance things out in a way that feels sustainable. Because if it was only despair and only darkness, who wants to continue on in that way? So for me, it's definitely been like the impact has definitely been stabilizing. I
mm.
guess if that does, I don't know if that makes sense.
No, no. I think that kind of goes to what we were talking about earlier.
Hmm.
Because you said balance, and that was the
Yeah.
key word. And just like I think I would say that we're so aware of like the negative things that happen,
Hmm.
and we feel like outraged when negative things happen, and I think that kind of stems from the fact that we don't, I guess, realize. And when I say we, I mean it's, I guess I'm talking about like me really. um, is that like you don't realize that joy is like a given too, or that you, or maybe not that joy is a given, it's that joy is something that you have to focus on and work
Mhm.
for, and
Mhm.
that it is a part of the balance. It's
Yeah.
joy and pain, you
Yeah.
know, and, pain has its role and joy helps us get through it.
Mhm.
And I feel like in times of pain, it's easy to sit in it and just feel the weight of the pain and feel helpless and hopeless. But I think realizing that joy is something you can refer to in the past, even if you don't see it in the immediate present. Like, you can pull those memories, like you said, of joy. It from the way you describe it, it sounds like joy is within you.
Yeah.
It's not something external. It's not something anybody gives to you. It's something that you already possess.
Mhm.
And you just have to figure out when to tap into it and when to use it to help you overcome your painful situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I definitely think I do think that um there can be joy around you that you can tap into as well. I don't want to just say that it has to be internal, because sometimes you do need that pull from someone else to give you. I mean, you have to have, it's like the receptors in our brain. There's receptors for all of these chemicals in the outer world, not in our bodies. So you have to have those receptors. We have joy receptors. Sometimes the joy does come from others, and you have to be able to receive it and let it, sink into those receptors so that you get the chemicals that come from, that input. So
yeah. But
yeah,
even with that, like, I guess I'm coming from that point of you have to receive it.
that's
So
true.
that's part of your perception. You have to be open to it.
Yeah.
You know, you can't close yourself off from it. So I guess that's what I mean by, because, there are things outside of yourself that create joy, but if you don't partake in that, if you don't
Mm,
seize that opportunity, then you can miss it. So that just tells me that it's something within you that has to acknowledge that you need joy and to look
yeah.
around, find it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's incredible. Okay, so then how do you cope with this understanding? How do you address this understanding of, joy being something that's within you, and also being open to it? Or, how do you create that, or how do you design that for yourself, knowing these things?
I mean, for me personally, I think I create joy by desiring it, by wanting
Mm.
it, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
um, by staying in the present, by grounding myself, by breathing, by honoring myself, by forgiving myself, by not judging myself and giving grace, by learning who I am. Um, and I think I take all of that and combine it to create this understanding that I create joy by loving myself without
Mm.
conditions.
You better say that.
By funneling my understanding of everything through me, understanding that it starts with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, what does that look like? I guess, like, to kind of give a visual to it. So for me, I'm working with a life coach to help me sort through my narrative, kind of the bits and pieces of things that I've picked up over the years of just living and existing, prayers that, have been prayed over me, that I've held on to, and just sorting through it and asking myself, do I really want this to be part of my story?
Yeah.
Um, and I'm learning tips on how to breathe, because that's something I definitely wasn't doing, and how to
Mm.
make self-honoring choices. I definitely wasn't doing that.
Yeah.
Um, and just trying to get in touch with free will,
Ooh.
just thinking for myself,
Yeah.
um, getting to know myself so I know what I want,
Mm.
um, and just kind of figuring out ways that I can tap into source, or the infinite and eternal energy.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, Other things I've done has been like, I've sought therapy,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't hesitate to go back. I probably do. Uh, and I went to therapy, during my time of grief, because I realized I needed the support,
Yeah.
and I think that's a big part of creating joy for me, acknowledging what I need and seeking
Ooh.
out the resource.
Ooh, that's really good.
Yeah. And I think that's really hard for me, because I want to be strong and I just want to bear through it. And I don't
Yeah.
have to.
Right.
And that's part of that narrative I carry along with me,
Mhm.
that to ask for help is to make it seem like I can't handle myself or that I'm weak. And that's
Yeah.
not what it is. It's like, no, I know myself and I know I need assistance or, I need some support here.
Right.
And it wouldn't be honoring myself if I didn't go seek that support.
Exactly. Exactly.
And lastly, I'm protecting my energy. If things drain me and cause me to feel the opposite of joy,
Mhm.
I do my best to release it,
Yeah.
and it may take some time, but eventually I feel like I come to realize that I have to let it go and that fear of temporary pain is just that temporary.
Yeah.
So I'm working on letting myself be, owning all
Mhm.
that I am, quirks and all, being
Yeah.
vulnerable, not pretending for anyone and being uniquely me because I think that's what's gonna give me joy.
That's incredible. This is sounding like a really beautiful journey. I mean, it sounds like you're really taking the time to like invest in understanding yourself. And that's so important in these lessons because you can't create joy based off what I like. Like that's
Exactly.
my joy. That's not your
Yes.
joy. And you're gonna have to
Yes.
find what works for you. What are the things that make joy for you? It's very uniquely you. I like that you said that. That is incredible. That's
Yeah,
really incredible. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So what about you? How do we cope? How do you create joy?
Um, so for me, I create joy by saying yes to things that I want. And that sounds so like obvious, but in the past I feel like I focused on reasons not to do things.
Mm,
I on all the precautionary measures I should take to stay safe. And for those of you not watching the video, I'm doing safe in quotations because I just had to come to the understanding that safe is an illusion. you know, happiness and joy are also worthwhile experiences, and I should live life with my full heart and self. Um, so, like with the way that this world has been set up, for some of us, it seems like joy right in the present moment is the best, most powerful act of defiance. I will
mm,
no longer let fear be my guiding light. You know what I mean? Like love
that
and
part.
joy and happiness are what I strive to experience in abundance. Someone asked me recently how I'd feel if this year was the end of the world, like if this was the end. And thinking on it helps me to realize that I want the end to be full of all the beautiful and pleasurable things that this world has to offer. And I'm worthy of that, and really it's kind of like what you were saying, taking the time to really go into my own box of things that are creating who I am and seeing why is this the most prevalent thing? Why is fear what you lean towards? Why is precaution to the extreme what you lean towards when that is never going to keep you safe? We have people in this world who've done all the right things. They said all the right things. They've made all the right choices, and their life has still been cut down short, or they've still been prosecuted, or they've still been persecuted. Like, all that's going on in the world has shown me that it doesn't matter how safe you try to be, something else could come and interject into your safety. So why not at this place in my life like experience joy that I've never experienced before? Say the yeses that I have never said. Feel the I still, I'm not gonna lie, it's still a process. I still feel anxiety around saying yes to
Mm,
things that I want. I feel all the precautionary things are still flooding my head, but I am choosing to lean into joy. I am choosing to lean into pleasure. I'm choosing to lean into happiness as my act of defiance. Like um I will not just be sad and scared and afraid and confused. I will not be befuddled for the rest of my life. Like I will live with joy and pleasure as a means of escape, as a
mm.
means of defiance, as an act of free will. That is how I cope, and that is what I am working towards every day of my life, just saying, yes more to things that I might not have said yes to, even just a few short months ago. So that's how I'm
Right.
coping. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, I think just experiencing joy, it helps you. It helps you like combat that fear so that you can like, cause like you mentioned, I feel like I'm saying like a lot, but it doesn't matter. You mentioned like even a few months ago, you wouldn't have said yes to some of the things that you're saying yes to now. And, correct me if I'm wrong. I I feel like maybe it's some of the joy that you have experienced over these last months that's brought you to that point where you feel like you can stand up against your fears and say
Yeah,
yes.
definitely.
So
It,
it sounds like joy is so necessary,
yeah,
you
it's
know,
necessary and it's healing.
and it's
It's very much
healing.
so healing because as a lot of you know who've been following the podcast since the beginning, I was at a very really rough space, a very short while ago, and just saying yes to myself and saying yes to experiences and saying yes to joy and happiness and pleasure and letting that be the foundation of what I'm like leaning on has really been transformative in my life. I feel like anything is possible for real. Like I'm just like I don't know what is to come. I'm looking so forward to the future. I am enjoying the present. I am
Mm.
learning from the past. I mean, it's just been very transformative in my life to lean into the joy and lean into the positive and lean into the happiness and lean into these things. I don't know. It's been really incredible.
So
Yes,
then I have a question
okay.
because so then can we say that joy is a perception?
Ooh, what do you mean?
Like, I feel like because you're saying I'm leaning into joy, I'm focusing on like joy and the things that make me happy. And I just feel like, the world is my oyster.
Yeah.
And I feel like on the other side of that is fear. You could focus on fear, focus on everything that's going wrong, focus on, just how angry you are, or just, focus on that. So, I feel like whatever you focus on, that's like your perception. So, I feel like for me, joy has always been something that I've been like running after, trying to like
Mhm.
grab a hold of. But what if joy is already with me
Yeah.
and it's literally just something I could switch on and say, I'm going to focus on joy. I'm
Yeah.
going to look at joy. I'm going to look at the joyful things. I'm going to
Yeah.
turn off fear that I've been focusing on
Mhm.
and just turn on joy. And then that creates joy. What if it's just like a flip of a switch?
I mean, I kind of do think it is. My mentor, she always used to make fun of me and she's like, "You always wear these rose-colored glasses." And I'm like, "I do because I don't see the necessity and I get the connotation." So, I understand that I need to see reality as well because that can keep you safe from harm sometimes. But I choose to see where I can go up, where I can
The
go
silver
positive,
lining.
where I can go, I can't stay in the dregs of things forever. And I think what you were saying about flipping off fear and flipping on joy, I think though, rather than flipping off fear and flipping on joy, that they're both at a medium position to create the ultimate balance. Because I think life without fear, well, I don't know if fear is the proper word, but I think cautiousness, which can lead to fear, kind of keeps you in a it kind of gives you it makes you more aware of your surroundings. If you're in a
Right.
space where you're like, okay, this is unfamiliar, or this is new territory, your eyes are open a little wider. You are more cautious of like your surroundings. So I feel like we need the balance of things. If I'm honest, I don't know that we need to flip off fear altogether, or flip off. I don't want to say fear because fear has such a negative connotation, but you get what I'm saying? Like the
Well,
cautiousness that is the underlying underlayer of fear.
okay, let me put it this way then,
Okay, let's hear.
just to kind of clean it up. I guess what I mean is like, when it comes to fear, be aware of it and acknowledge when you feel it.
Okay.
But then choose to see the joy.
I I like it. I like
So
it.
I'm not saying ignore the fear and act like, oh, if I jump in front of this train, I ain't gonna get hit. You will get hit.
You gonna die.
But just saying, oh my gosh, I'm fearful like of this train and I want to get to
Yeah.
the other side, but I feel like this train is coming. Okay, then looking for that silver lining or that joy will help you say, okay, there's like a stairway over there. Or maybe if I just wait
Yeah.
until this train stops, I could probably safely get to the other side.
Yes.
So, like, just not putting so much emphasis on fear. Like,
Got you.
acknowledge it and then say, all right, now I'm going to think. I'm going to use my free will. I'm going to think.
Right.
And then I'm going to figure out how I'm going to still get what I want.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like that. That's really actually very incredible because my cousin told me when I was moving out here, he said, "Oh man, that's so great. You're moving. You're not scared. You don't have no fear." I said, let me stop you.
True.
I am hella scared, but I'm just
Yeah.
doing it anyway. I don't know what to expect. I am afraid that life is gonna be like, gotcha, bitch. I mean, I don't know. But I'm still gonna go and I'm still gonna give it my greatest, bestest, most amazingest effort ever. Like I'm gonna do that for
Right.
myself because that's what I want to do. I want to be
Right.
here. And since I've been here, I've been soaking up these good sun rays and the universe has come through in so many ways that I just take the time and I say aloud to the universe, you showing out. Because I have been allowed to experience things because I leaped into the fear and said, you know what? You're not gonna hold me back no more. I acknowledge that you're there. And because of that, I'm gonna work this way and I'm gonna do this, but I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna let it hold me down or hold me back from experiencing life to the fullest extent that I can. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know. Okay, I do want to ask you a question though. Did you have something else to say before I do?
I did, but I think it kind of just escaped me.
I'm so sorry.
No, no, no. It's based off of what you were saying earlier about like fear and joy both being there. And that now it's coming back. Yeah, like you shouldn't flip the switch off of fear that there should be balance. And I think
Yeah.
that's it. Both exist. I think that's how it's simple. Both exist. Fear and joy.
Mhm.
To try to extract one from the other, it's going to throw you out of alignment. They're
Mhm.
both there. You need both. You need to
Mhm.
be able to see both.
Yeah.
And but you need to choose what you're going to put your focus on. You're
Yeah.
going to, you choose which one you need in this moment.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, because there's a lot of lessons in fear, you
Yeah.
know,
Mhm.
and lessons help you grow. So yeah, that's it. That's what I was gonna say. So
That's
yeah,
so.
just trying to clean it up.
Okay. Okay. Now I want to present this question to you,
Oh
and
God.
see your thoughts on it. I have been saying in different manner of like social media posts and stuff that joy can be a form of protest. How do you feel about that?
Absolutely. I feel like um, right now what we're combating the social injustice, it's fear. And
Mhm.
it's not necessarily our fear. I feel like, white supremacy was created based off of fear and insecurity. To feel like you need to prop yourself up on somebody else, that's because you fear that you're not enough, that you can't
Mhm.
do it alone. So I feel like what better way to combat fear than with joy, to show that no matter how much fear you throw at me, that I'm still going to find the joy. I still see the worth in myself and my existence.
Mhm.
I've Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I when I saw that, I was like, that is so real. I saw that along with rest being an act of defiance as well.
Mm.
And I have been learning both, to just take a
Mm-hmm.
rest and just say, money is not everything. Take a chill
Mm.
pill, sit down, sleep, relax, watch a TV, read a book, talk to your friends, talk to no one. Do what you want, do what you need. And that being an act of saying, you will not keep me in a state of fear because you have the National Guard up and down the street. You will not
Right.
keep me from enjoying laughter and love and liberty because the police are, usurping all the power that they should have. It's, I don't know if that was the right word, but you guys understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think it's not. I will not allow this to keep me in despair. And I
Mm.
do think that that is the ultimate act of defiance, the ultimate act of protest. And I saw a post where it was just black people laughing, and I was cracking up in my bed. I don't know what these people were laughing at, but I laughed to tears because there's just something about the joy that is innate in us. And to say we won't allow you to snuff that out is beautiful. And
Yeah.
I appreciate that, and I hope more and more people are finding ways to um to create joy and to receive joy and to see joy and be joyful even in times where they don't want you to see, experience, feel.
Mhm.
They want despair, they want fear, they want
Mhm.
aggravation and agitation. That's what they want. They want that to be the end and the bottom for us. And I'm
Mhm.
grateful to see that that is not what we're allowing in our communities, in our homes, and in ourselves. I've been seeing more and more people, finding ways to ground themselves or have peace or meditation or whatever it is. So
Mm.
um, I don't know. I'm excited to see that that's been like the conversation that has been had.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I'm gonna need you to send me that video because I
Of the
want to
people
laugh
laughing.
too. Yeah, I
Yes,
want to
I will
laugh
send
too
it. I will send
because
it.
laughter is contagious, and I
It
think
is.
Black people, we just have this majesticness to us where we can literally turn any pain into a joke. Like we can definitely laugh through some pain, and I think that's a superpower, and I think we should keep sight of it, and that's joy. That's you
Yeah.
choosing to see the light in the situation. That's it. The light in the
Yeah.
situation. Now, I'm not saying don't have rage,
Right.
don't be angry, you know, feel how you feel, acknowledge your pain so you can get to the joy, so
Right.
that you can realize that that fear isn't going to hold you back,
Right. Exactly.
because
Exactly.
that's why all of this is happening, because of fear,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to get to this point where we can enjoy ourselves. I think if everybody were to enjoy themselves, love themselves, then we would have peace on earth.
You absolutely have a point. I mean, because if you're loving yourself, you're not worried about what the next person is doing. You're not trying to hold them back. You're not trying to be cruel to them. You're not making fun of you are worried
Right.
about yourself.
Right. Right. I'm just chilling with me,
Exactly.
enjoying me, loving me. Like,
Huh.
if you love yourself so much, you don't have time to be hating on anybody
I'm
else.
telling you. Like that little girl said in that car seat, worry about yourself. Worry about yourself. I'm doing me. You worry about yourself. But yeah, that's absolutely right. I do feel like if we were to be able to create joy, receive joy on our own for ourselves, then there would be a lot less bullshit in the world.
And joy is not just one way.
Yeah.
Tap into your individual joy. There's
Hmm.
certain things that just bring a smile to your face that may bring a frown to others, and you don't worry about that.
Okay.
You you like, if you, whatever you like, whatever brings you joy, and it doesn't hurt anybody else, because don't steal anybody else's joy, don't disrupt anybody else's joy.
All right.
Okay.
That part. That part.
You're I don't know if that's really joy, if your joy is upsetting other people and stealing other people's joy. You looting joy at this point. That's not the point. The joy is for you. Okay. uh
There's enough
so
joy for everybody to have their own.
ex-
You don't gotta steal nobody.
exactly. Right. Don't you go stealing nobody else's sunshine. What's wrong with you?
Right.
You
Right.
know, just focus on you. If you like writing, if you like cooking, even if people don't like your cooking, but you like cooking, cook
Cook.
and eat
Go
it
cook.
yourself.
And don't give it
Because like I
to
said, don't
to
give it to
steal that joy.
nobody. Don't give out no plates.
Oh, that's your
But
joy. That's for you.
right. Like, we need to stop judging ourselves and policing our emotions. I think that came out in our last after podcast. Let you be so you
Yeah.
can let others be. You
Yes.
know, let people feel what they feel so that they can get to their joy. We be getting in people's way.
We do.
We
We
be
do.
getting in our own way.
Hello? I was just about to say that. I mean, I think when we can get to the place where what I do for my joy, you looking down upon it still doesn't take away from my joy. You not understanding doesn't take. I can sit in the middle of a field for hours and there's bugs and you're like, "Oh, but there's bugs." If that doesn't bother me and me sitting in the field is what brings me joy, I'm going to go sit in the field. If
Right.
singing all the time, which is what I do, brings me
Mhm.
joy, I'm gonna sing all the time.
Right. Right.
You have to find what is your joy. It's not gonna
Right.
look. It may look like other people's, but it might not. And you need to be okay with that and
Right.
experience
Yeah.
it. Just float with it. Yeah,
Yeah, as long as it doesn't take from anybody else's joy. So
agree.
if you feel like, you come up on, just frolicking with fleas and singing off key in a field. You're like, oh, stop that singing. Don't you see these fleas? No. If she looks happy as lamb in that situation, you just go sit in your car.
Why I gotta be fleas, Rena? Why couldn't it be like ladybugs? So you just had to go to the
Okay.
craziest
So
thing.
it's frolicking with fleas. So it just kind of like,
Oh,
okay, laying with ladybugs. Let's do it again.
laying with
Because I don't want to steal your
ladybugs.
joy. I don't want to steal your joy. So
Thank
if you
you.
see Jessica laying with ladybugs, in a field somewhere, singing lovely,
Thank you.
and for some reason that upsets you, you don't sit there and berate her for her joy. Go
Right.
sit in the car, go listen to some music you want to listen to, go do something you want to do. Like, that's what I want. I want, when people see somebody doing something they don't like, but be able to acknowledge that it's not hurting anybody, and it's bringing that person joy, to have enough love for themselves to remove them from something that's not bringing them joy.
Mm.
And then that's going to create an outward projection of love because you're allowing that person to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of these people who are calling the police on folks could use a lesson in that.
Yeah.
Mind your business. That's going to bring you a lot more joy than you could ever realize. Mind
That
your business. If
that
you
part,
mind
because
your business, you can figure out what you like, what you don't
right,
like, how to remove yourself from situations that are uncomfortable, how to elevate to the highest level, how to vibrate higher. If you mind your business, why are you
right,
minding anyone else's business? Mind your
exactly.
business. Yeah.
Because you trying to take that person's joy in that moment is taking away from you finding your joy in that
Hello?
moment.
You better say that.
And
Literally.
so when you're trying to take from somebody else, realize we're all one and you're taking from yourself simultaneously.
Hmm.
Don't think, oh, because you're doing something to that person and you're right and you're getting vengeance or whatever it is that you're seeking in that moment, that you're not bringing that energy back to you.
Right.
So,
Exactly. I think this has been a really fun episode because I'm just like, these episodes I'm always finding out more about myself. The way that
mm,
we've set it up really makes me like dive deep into myself and have try to have an understanding of what I really feel and how I'm really feeling. So just really recognizing that joy has been the catalyst for some of this happiness that I'm feeling, the catalyst for some of this peace that I'm feeling, the catalyst for some of this, like, I don't know. I'm just recognizing how useful it is in
mm,
my life and wanting to definitely be mindful of it and be intentional about it.
mm,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Not allowing things to happen to me, but really creating things and saying, like I said, saying yes to things that I might not have said yes to. And those things are creating joy within myself. So just having this experience, I don't know, it's just been really incredible. It's
yeah.
really dope.
Ditto,
Yeah.
ditto,
Yeah.
completely. Like I get so much joy from doing this podcast, from
Ah, true.
from interacting with you and interacting with everybody else. And even sometimes when it seems like I'm going through like a hard time on the podcast, like you said, I think that's a part of me kind of acknowledging my feelings, becoming aware of my feelings so that I can find my way to joy. And,
Yes.
you know, and usually like after I say what I say and I learn about myself, then I'm able to release it. And
Beautiful.
so like after these like podcasts and after the after podcasts and everything, like I just be floating on a high, you know?
Yes, same, same. It be dope. It be dope.
Right.
Yeah, I be telling people about it. I'm like, come get you some understanding. I mean, it's not gonna be, and that's the thing. I hope that you guys, as our listeners, are understanding. We're not wanting you to necessarily come to our understanding. We want to give you
Right.
these tools to dick it down for yourself and come to your own
Yes.
understanding, so that at the end of the day, you realize what joy means to you, what joy is for you. How do you create joy? How do you not disrupt someone else's joy? Like, come to these understandings for yourself, because it is an incredible feeling to just have an understanding about who you are,
Mhm.
about what you like, about what you don't
Mhm.
like. So
Mhm.
I'm hoping that that's the experience that you guys are getting out of this as well.
And I just want people to find their joy.
Yeah.
I
Find
feel
it,
like,
spread it.
yes, I feel like that is the biggest contribution we can make and we can have as humans, just to be able to find your joy and just, you know, and just be in it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
people can see that and it spreads, just like laughter.
Yes, yes, just like laughter. To recap, joy, we both kept it pretty simple. It's loving yourself, it's feeling great pleasure. And then we both understood that the impact is pretty life changing, pretty life altering. The impact for me, it's life saving, you know. So we understand that joy is something that we can create and also that we can be receptive to from others. So overall, we recognize that joy is also a form of protest. Joy is life saving. Joy is all around a necessity. So we hope that that after you listen to this podcast, you have understood or will understand that joy is a necessity.
Yes.
You like
I,
that?
yeah, I like that.
Okay,
I think
good.
that sums it up.
So now we're down to the bottom of the episode, which is
Right.
actually my very favorite part. This is the meditation part of the episode, and I hope that you will join in with us. We're going to take a couple deep breaths. We're going to set our intentions, and then we're going to let you go about your day. So take in a big deep breath with me. We'll take a second deep breath. And we'll take our last deep breath. And now we're going to set our intentions. My intention for this day is to find and create joy, to understand that it is up to me. It is my responsibility to be joyful for myself, with myself, and I can also spread that and give that to others.
My intention is, to keep sight of joy, to keep my focus on joy, and to hopefully help others find their joy as well.
It's beautiful. We'll take in a last big deep breath. Take a big deep breath with me. A second deep breath. And the last breath this time for real. All right. Our intentions have been set for the day. Go out there and flourish this. Today doesn't have to be a mess.
But it's okay if it is.
So, Liz, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. We wanted to give a big shout out to a listener who gave us some input on how to maybe direct the podcast a little bit more efficiently. And so we want to thank you for that input. If you guys have any input, if you have any ideas, if you have any topic ideas, if you just want to say thank you or you love us, we'd love to hear all those things too. You could reach us at Gmail. That's It's a Mess Sis. On Twitter and Facebook, it's also It's a Mess Sis. On Instagram, you can find us at It's a Mess Sis Podcast. We also do a live on Sundays. That's going to be 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific time, if I'm not mistaken. So join us. Let us know what your thoughts are about joy. Let us know if you recognize joy as being a necessity, if you recognize it as a form of protest. We'd love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions. And I just want to again say how appreciative I am that you guys are still with us after all this time.
Yes, throughout all of our mess and
Yeah.
us figuring things out and organizing things. Yes, thank you
Yeah.
for sticking with us.
Yes, we love you guys so much. And I think that's it. Is there anything else that you want to say, Miss Rena?
No,
All
no.
right. All right. Well, we love y'all. We'll see y'all. We'll check y'all on the flip side. Peace.
Peace.
It's a mess.
Hey, that's all I can do.
It's
I
a
can't sing.
mess. It's okay. He's gonna talk over my singing though. Okay, it's ready now.